Welcome back everyone to the Brick from Day podcast. I believe this is episode 5 we're on now, and today we're going to be talking about the history event with some of its participants, which include one of the event managers and organizers, Brick Film HQ, aka Jared.
Hello, it is I.
You might recognize him for his many smash hit Brick films. Many of them I can't name because, well shit, I just don't none of them are smash hits. I'm sorry, Jared.
No, you're fine.
He's worked on other Brick from Day events and he's just such a great guy. What a funny guy. Haha.
Wow, thank you.
Also joining us is Gold Brick Productions, Chris. He's a former admin of Bric-a-Brac and the Plastic Films, as well as a member of the Frame 100 podcast, and you might recognize him in terms of films for his many viral Ninjago music videos.
Oh gosh.
Love those, man.
You brought those up. You had to, right?
I have to go and check out everyone's smash hits, you know. See where everyone got their start.
One of these days I'll remake those things.
And then also joining us, our final member of the podcast for today is Star Wars Studio 100, who you might recognize for his many incredibly viral zombie and war videos.
Hello there.
And today, as I said before, we're going to be talking about the BFD History Event, which has been pushed back a week to October 19th, so it's no longer on October 12th, it is now on the 19th.
Which is a relief.
Yeah, it's much nicer to have, more time to work on our films.
Yes, indeed.
And actually, as a result of it being pushed back a week, we were able to do this podcast. So this podcast is now in existence because of that change. And then some final news. I don't know whether I'm allowed to say this or not. If I am allowed to, we have a sci-fi event coming up in late November. An announcement for that should be up very soon.
Nice.
So keep your eyes open for that. And without further ado, let's get right in the podcast. Now, as of late, there has been a lot of controversy. One of the biggest controversies right now, also surrounding with the media, is the Joker controversy and how it is promoting violence, which is just a whole load of nonsense in my opinion. I don't really see how that is. What do you guys think about it?
I think that they should expect that a movie about the villain is going to be violent, and the point of it is to not be the villain.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen it. It's a really good movie. I don't really see why all this has been stirred up over it. Because, I mean, as Chris said, the point is to not become the villain.
Exactly. How many people do you think are saying this that haven't even seen the movie as well?
Yeah. That's probably a lot.
A lot of it, too, is people want a headline. They find something that they can turn to a headline and stir the pot. If there was no way to market, like, I guess you would say upset around the movie, no one would be doing it.
Yeah.
But if you immediately look at this and go, hey, this is going to incite violence, well, you've automatically targeted one of people's biggest fears, and you've already steered them away from looking at a piece of art objectively. You get your clicks, you get your views. The outcome, you don't care. You're just a media site who just wants attention that the Joker movie is getting, and you're not. Might be a bit of a generalization, but that really seems to just be the pattern here.
It's always like this.
And what's also crazy that it's very much an American thing.
Yes, indeed.
Like the America is going crazy over it. There's none of this anywhere else in the world. It's really just America.
Yeah, it seems to be pretty localized. And this is a difficult conversation because of the way that things operate in the States, but there's just a lot of general fear about public violence. And so when you see a film where someone asks you to look at another perspective, albeit a perspective that is morally wrong, but at the same time has a series of self-justifications, the automatic response is to take it and throw it away instead of stepping back and saying, hold on, what creates a villain? I don't know, that's sort of what I've been gathering from the mess we call Twitter.
But what about the people who just want to watch a movie? I mean, in the end, it's just a movie.
Yeah, and they probably don't look at the news or any of that. I mean, it's crazy how many mainstream news outlets are talking about this.
Yes.
You figured the outcry from it would turn everybody away, but it seems to be drawing more people towards it. So you honestly gotta wonder.
All right. Let's get back to the center of why we're having this podcast, the actual event itself. Maybe look at what everyone is doing, what we're all making. All right. Who wants to go first? Who wants to share what they're working on?
I nominate you, James.
No.
No? Why? Why?
What are you working on, James?
Well, here's the thing, right? I haven't written a script yet, so I don't know exactly everything involved. I just have a general idea. But you know what? I'll go ahead with it. Now or never. I'm basing my whole film a lot off South African history. I will be looking at the South African mineral revolution, sort of the discovery of diamonds and gold and how it actually shaped the economy and the social boundaries and class divide today in the country even. It's going to look at some of the strikes that occurred in the mining compounds which they had for many of the workers and how bad the conditions were, just due to racial discrimination and class discrimination, and then put that in a modern
apartheid.
No, this was before apartheid. This was in the 1800s and 1900s.
Oh.
What's actually interesting is that all this stuff that I will be looking at in this video is what would then become apartheid. But that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do that and then look at it in a modern context of how really the situation hasn't changed whatsoever 100 years later, and how conditions are still absolutely terrible for many of the mine workers. It's kind of, you know, people say like history, learn from your mistakes, and in a way the same mistakes are still being made, and it's getting worse. Star Wars Studio, do you want to go on and say what you're doing?
Yes, my entry for Big Film Game is about the Second Sino-Japanese War. It was basically a war between China and Japan. So, and it has some paranormal elements in it. So basically it's about a corporal who's trying to lead his unit to war, but the Japanese had some aces up on the sleeve.
Wait, here's a question. Sorry, so it's based on a true event, but you're adding your own twist to it with paranormal elements.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, in terms of this big film I'm working on, it doesn't really have some deeper meaning to it, unlike all my other big films, which usually have some more of a story or deeper meaning. The only meaning of this big film is basically that some people, they fight in light and die in the light, while other people fight in the dark and die in the dark.
Cool.
The scenes I sent you so far, that the soldiers there are depicted as, well, kind of chaotic.
Oh, I look forward to seeing it all come together. Hopefully production goes smoothly. So far the cinematography in this one is honestly the best I've seen from you.
Yes, I'm going all out this time.
I do think we should probably move on
to
sure. The next person. So Jared, would you please tell us what you're working on?
Yes, I shall. So it's a Western. It's inspired by Django Unchained, though. Trying to make it different than like most other Western brick films, you know. It's going to be kind of a toned down, slow version, very thoughtful.
How long are you planning to make it then if it's going to be slowed down and contained?
Slow-mo.
Maybe like 3 minutes.
That's not too bad.
Interesting, okay. I can see that working.
Yeah.
Anyhow, Chris, please.
Yeah.
We've been dying to hear about your story about
The Agricultura mechanism.
I guess the best way to describe it is to describe the couple ideas that I didn't do. So I wanted to try and do something kind of obscure to talk about. So I thought, okay, well, how about obscure inventions? And then lo and behold, I just up and find one about the world's oldest computer, or at least the oldest one that we found. And apparently we are still trying to figure out what this thing does. About a block of copper that's green and oxidized.
I believe it is used for navigation.
Not quite, actually. So they used it as like a calendar to help predict like astronomical events, but they're still finding components of it that they're not quite sure what they do. This thing's just been a mystery since like the 70s. The goal though is I don't want to do like a documentary where I just go on about this device and you get bored and click immediately to the next video in the playlist. I want to add like a comedic angle to it. So I'm going to talk about it from like the perspective of an angry college student just trying to pass a stupid class. Like I just want to talk about this cool thing I found on the internet, and I want to keep it upbeat.
So are you going to build the actual thing out of Lego?
I am not, because I do not have enough bricks.
Just one by one scale.
Anyhow, I think it is time to say our goodbyes. It is undoubtedly time for bed. So I'll say thank you all for joining. Thank you, Jared, Chris from Godbrick Productions, and thank you, Star Wars Studio 100. Don't know your real name, but do we need to know? It's been lovely chatting with you all for nearly the last hour, and then before that, of course. Thank you, everyone, for watching, and cheers.
Bye.
May the force be with you.
Goodbye, and thank you.